Hello everyone, so this is my second inspiration video. This is part of a sequence I'm doing for 5 weeks as I am on leave, and these are quick videos designed to encourage you and inspire you to either start your AI automation journey, or if you're already there, maybe with new ideas. Some of you will love it, some of you will hate it, some of you will be impartial. Write me a comment in the comment section about your opinion about the whole thing. It's challenging me to give much shorter videos, but hey, it's always good for me, for you to try new things, and I'm going out of my comfort zone doing really short videos where I don't give every single detail. If you don't know me, my name is Samer Haddad. I'm a Fortune 500 executive on a journey to get as many people as I can to the top 1% when it comes to AI, to improve your life or career. And with this, I hope you enjoy the episode, and let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel, The Mic.
If you watch my content, you know I do lots of paper reviews. I love doing AI paper reviews, but those are heavy, those are complex. Sometimes a paper gets hyped, I read it, I'm not interested. So I wanted a much more optimized way of how I approach AI papers, how I understand them, how I study them, and how maybe it will help me bring them to you with clarity. So this is a source. What you see on the screen is one of the best sources for papers in general and AI in particular. So this is Cornell University's arXiv website. You can go here, see all of the latest AI papers. But the automation I built, that I'll show you in a second, handles any type of paper, regardless of on this site or off this site. But the main design for it was for things that are coming out of this website. This is important to explain, and you'll get it in a second. Now, this automation is in two parts, and certain things, as I said, are tweaked for the Cornell University arXiv website. So I have an Airtable, and it all starts with one step. I just take the paper URL and I just throw it into that Airtable, and this triggers a sequence of events that does a lot for me. So the first thing I need to do, because I do a lot of this, is try to find that URL in my database. And if I don't find it, good, that means that I didn't process that paper before, to reduce all of the cost of doing all of this. So this is a filtration process early on, that this is a paper that wasn't processed. And then only for the Cornell website, sometimes the URL of the page is different from the PDF. And this is a basic formatting step where I actually get the PDF link. Now here we go into one of two paths. One is designed for the papers coming off Cornell site, and then everything else. Now I'm going to go into one path. Fundamentally, they are the same. It's just minor things in processing the URL. Everything else is pretty much the same. So the only difference between these two is one has a couple of steps more just to handle that Cornell basically URL. Everything else is perfectly the same, so you don't need to worry about that. I just want you to understand the logic, how I built and how I solved my problem in understanding AI papers. So let's focus on the Cornell path. First thing I do is I upload the paper to my Google Drive. I want to keep those papers in records. Those are interesting. And then I upload it to ChatGPT, because I want the model to analyze it later on. So I have to upload it, and I get a URL as a response to this step. I do some delay, and then here I have a conversation with an assistant. So I built an assistant on the OpenAI dashboard with a huge prompt and details of how to break down and analyze an AI paper and what to do with it, what to give me back. And then I have a conversation which basically gives me a summary. I'm asking it, these are the details, give me a summary of this paper, something that I can quickly read. And then I do this find a record. Again, this is something I covered in a previous video. The way I do things in AI, especially in Zapier and other automations, is I have an Airtable database. This is a side topic that has all my system and user prompts for all my automations. So I can modify everything in one place. So if I want to change all my automations at once, I can go to that one table, change everything. Model name, system prompt, user prompt, I do it from one place. I don't have to tap into each automation. It makes managing all of these automations for me easy. I have a complete video on the topic. You can look into my videos and watch it. So it's interesting. So basically I'm picking up the prompt from Airtable here, and then I send it to Claude, and it's a very simple request. I'm telling Claude, you know, all of these citation things you get sometimes from OpenAI, sometimes the hashtags, the asterisks that I even prompting OpenAI not to have there, sometimes these still come through. So here I'm just asking Claude, which is good in this, clean up the output from the assistant for me, give me a clean output. And then what I do here is I do some date formatting. Again, this is the date of the trigger. I format it to prepare for creating a draft post for LinkedIn about this paper. So I already have content to share on LinkedIn about this paper without still me reading it yet. So this will schedule a post, and then I have some error handling. I want this to go straight out. Sometimes the process takes more, so I get an error. So what I do is I adjust the date and time, and then I do the same thing again. I schedule the post and I go forward with the automation. But after that, I go update the same record. I put there the URL of the link of the paper. So all of that remains always with me. If I go and look into all of the papers that were interesting to me that I run through this automation, I can actually see all of them in one place and see, okay, maybe I will do a video about this, maybe I ignore that, or maybe in the future, I just want to pick up an idea. I go back to the same table that has all the information, including the summary that I created. So I'm repurposing the output of this automation for many different things. And then I send myself an email, which one of the steps, the ChatGPT conversation steps, gives me HTML code for that email. And basically it's an email with a summary there, with a URL link where if I click on my mobile, I automatically go to the paper. So I have it always on my mobile. I don't need to do so many things and access many things. I just throw the URL and I have it on my mobile at all times. I can go read the summary, get an idea about the paper. If I want to read the paper even on my mobile, I just press that link. So I always get it. And then after that, I delete the file on ChatGPT. I don't need it anymore. And then I do this webhook request. Now this will take us to the second part. So I'm going to make it really interesting, this automation. What this sends, it actually sends the file that we saved to Google Drive, if you remember that. So we send the file itself and we send the URL and some other information. So that concludes this part of automation, when we send that file and that URL and information to a different automation, which will be picked up by another webhook. This is the second automation. So here, when the information comes through from that webhook in the first automation, it's picked up with this catch hook. So we get the file, we get the URL, we get other stuff. Again, here I do a find record. And again, I'm querying the same Airtable we started with in the first automation. I just want this automation to identify which record we are working with. And there's common things. One of them is the URL. I can find the same URL and I know my record that I need to deal with in this automation. And again, this is a filtration here. Is this existing or not? If it's not existing, maybe this was triggered by mistake. Stop. Now this automation actually starts. The interesting part for me. So what this will do, it will take the file with all the text in it and it will go and feed it to 4 different AI modules. And for each AI module, it will give it the paper and to ask it for 2 things. Give me a diagram about this paper that explains this paper fully, but in a single diagram, a single image that I can show it to anyone or look at it myself and really tell the big ideas behind that paper. I want that thing because I use these diagrams. I used to use them in the past in explaining these papers online when I show it to you. If you watch my videos, you know that. So I want to do it with 4 models. Now that's unnecessary. I have my model pick for such an automation. I'll tell you what's the best one. But when I built this and still working in this way, there are 4 models. So the first one is OpenAI. Give me the CSS code and the HTML code. So both parts of that code I need to render later on with some service and get that image. So this is how the model will give you a diagram. It will actually give you code. And then I delay. And then here I stringify the same inputs. Basically, this is me going to the next model. And I do it in a way that, again, if you look into my videos, there's a video for me solving the biggest problem in most automation, at least in Zapier and Make, maybe not in 8n, which is the timeout problem. And I have to send a normal HTTP request that you should do within Zapier, but because Zapier has a limit on the runtime, especially when you deal with big reasoning models, which take sometimes longer than a minute to run and give you an answer, you'll hit that error. So I actually do the running on my own application. So this is something you can go and watch. I'm just explaining to you so you can understand why I'm doing these steps. This is me actually sending the same request fundamentally to all 3. So I send the request to O3, I do a 6-minute delay, and then I pick up the response here. Now the response here is again CSS code plus HTML code that will make a diagram. Again, I do a delay. I do the same with different models. So all of this, me just going through different models. You can see here is Gemini, and I do it all dealing with the limitation I told you about, which is timeout through my application that I created on Replit myself. And everything is given in that episode, by the way, if you want to replicate the same. And then if you know my style, I pick up my user prompt and system prompt and model from a database I have on Airtable. And I run a cleansing step here. So many times you get these CSS and HTML code. I ask for it in JSON format. So I want a JSON code with 2 objects in it, one with CSS and one with HTML. Sometimes even with that request, even if you tell the model to 10 times to give it to you clean, you will get some text before it or after it. This is again me asking a model not to give me code, but to clean text. I give it the code basically, but for it, it's text. Just clean that text, give it to me clean without anything before or after the JSON object. I get it, and then I run a code. This is good code by Zapier. I actually cleanse the code here. I transform it from text in OpenAI output to actual objects. And this is where the magic happens. So there's a service, there's an app on Zapier, one of the 30,000 so apps, called HTML CSS to image. And this service is very simple. You give this application CSS code, HTML code, it will generate for you an image. And you can see here, I have it with O3 Mini, I have it with O1. Now I have to update it to O3. I don't think I did. I have it here with Sonnet. I have it here with Gemini. Each time one of these nodes run, it takes in code and it gives back an image or a diagram in a JPEG or PNG format. I update the record and I add the image into that record. So I have everything in the database. I have the paper, the summary. Maybe sometimes I can add my comments as well. I have all of the images. I can, if I want to read the summary, I read the summary. If I want to just look at a diagram and try to digest from there, I do that. And eventually I send everything to myself in an email with links to these images. So even I don't have to go to my Airtable. I can watch it on my mobile, look at these images, zoom in, zoom out, and that will give me everything. Let me show you how all of that looks in one place. This is the database I'm talking about. So you can see I've been doing it for a while. Now I have certain filtration here. You can see this is a checkbox. If I check that I covered it on YouTube, it actually doesn't show here. So these are all the papers I ran that I actually didn't cover yet on my YouTube. Some of it is not super interesting. Some of it I didn't have the time to do so. And if you look here at the interesting paper column, most of them are coming from the Cornell arXiv website. But also I have others that are not from that site. So it works across. And the more recent ones actually have the images. So this is a recent update I did. And also I can add some comments here. So you can see this is the summary. So if I double click on the summary, you can read the whole formatted summary, and you can see the things that come from OpenAI that I try to remove in the automation that I told you about. These are nasty things that OpenAI can't solve for us. Even if you prompt it, it will still give it. And I have my own comments here, sometimes personal comments of to cover this or not and what's all about. But the more interesting part is if you double click on any of them, you will get this image. So it might not be really visible for everyone and very clearly, but maybe if I click on it, you'll get a zoom. And you have here the original study claims and problem. You have the critical analysis methodology. You have analysis process. You can see it's chronologically breaking down the paper into things you can digest and understand. Yes, it's not like reading the whole paper in detail, but you get, I would say from experience, from reading the whole paper and doing this, you get not less than 50% of the ideas, the big ideas, to 80% of the big ideas of just reading this. Now, the devil is in the detail. Better to read the paper. I love doing that. And if you carry on, you see things like key concepts and terminology. So even if there's a new term in the paper, this will explain it to you. I did it for myself, for me to learn and also to explain to others. Critical quotes from the paper. So if any of the researchers said something super interesting, it is captured here, and then the conclusion and recommendation. So this is my second inspiration video while I'm on leave. So hope you enjoyed it. And if you're interested to see the first one, I'm going to have it in the cards. So I hope you enjoyed this video, found some inspiration here to build something similar for yourself. Start with something much simpler, but along these lines, or maybe just build something much better. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share it with others. And with this, thank you for watching and goodbye.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.